I am a professional organizer and I'm a grandmother. And because I'm both of those things, I have become a huge believer in giving adventures for birthdays and other gifts rather than stuff. And I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the logistics behind that, but I also want to give you some ideas on things that I have done for my grandchildren because I think they will give you some ideas. And then I will be very interested in hearing how you expand upon that. So here's some of the logistics behind what I do and kind of my philosophy on this. When I started doing this, my grandchildren actually lived geographically very close to me, and that was great. We could almost always do the adventure on their birthday or really close to it. Well, now they live over 9 hours away, and that just isn't possible. So I had to let go of the idea that the adventure had to align directly with the birthday. Now I try to do that, but if I can't, I make sure that we're doing it within even 2 to 3 months of the birthday. I really, really like to do an individual adventure with each grandchild, but I've discovered that sometimes because of the logistics and sometimes because of the nature of what we're doing, having 2 or 3 of the grandkids together and doing a combined adventure is okay. I had to let go of some of the hard and fast expectations that I had. One of the things that I do is I don't want to fall into that trap of every year I have to do something better and bigger and better and bigger. I can't sustain it. So I try very hard to do some adventures that are maybe a little more complex, maybe they cost a little bit more, and then also to do some very simple ones. So the idea isn't that it has to be grand and big, we just have to spend time together and have fun. Sometimes my gifts are pure adventure. Sometimes there's a mix of a thing and adventure together. So you'll see what I mean on that one in a little bit. One of the things that I encourage you to do is if you're a parent and you're watching this and you're like, oh man, I would really love it if the grandparents, aunts and uncles, family, friends did adventures and not gifts. Go ahead and tell them that. Go ahead and share that desire with them. But if they don't do that, you may have to step back and think, why is that? Well, maybe they just don't want to do adventures. Maybe they want to do gifts. It's okay. They get to do that. But it also might be because they don't know what you mean by adventures. They don't have any ideas on what to do. So go ahead and put together a list for each child. You can put some kind of bigger, exciting, complex adventures on the list. You can put very simple, inexpensive things on the list. Just make sure you're giving them a range of ideas that they can do. You're going to have to change the list perhaps yearly and at least every other year because your child is changing. So that's going to be something that you're going to be able to help them help you with this desire. Now, let me share some of the things that I've done, and I'll be excited and would love to hear back from you guys if there's some things that you've done or want to do. So, when a child is young, we do an adventure, but it's very, very simple. So for a 1-year-old, I've gone for a walk in the park with them. They're in the stroller, I'm pushing it. A 2-year-old, a walk in the park with cookies. Doing bubbles together in the park. You get the idea, very, very simple. Little girls, oh my goodness, a tea party is always a welcome thing to do. One of the things I would love to do with my granddaughter, who's just a little bit young for this yet to really appreciate it, but I would love to do a tea party at a tea house someday, kind of go very fancy with hats and gloves and all that. I have a grandson that we did a llama trek one year. They live fairly close to a llama farm within 15-20 minutes, and so scheduled a hike, and that was fantastic. I've taken grandchildren to the circus. With my granddaughter one year, I pre-measured ingredients that would go into a mason jar so that we could do cookie mix jars together. And then after we made the cookie mix jars, we did 5, I believe it was. We cooked up one of the jars and ate the cookies, and then she had 4 jars left that she could give as gifts from her that were special to brothers, to parents, that sort of thing. One of my grandsons loved to play Army, and so one of the adventures was inviting a special friend over that he didn't get to see very often. I bought a relatively small bag of Army guys and gave them to the boys and said, have at it, and they spent hours just doing ranging Army guys and having battles, and I brought in Chick-fil-A for lunch. one adventure that I did with a grandson who's fairly artistic is we made a piñata together. Now that covered a couple days because we created the piñata that's still wet and has to dry, and then we came back another day and decorated it. One of the things that I've done that is buying something and then kind of building on it. So I buy a fairly inexpensive small thing and then we build. I found a fossilized shark tooth at a thrift store, and one of the grandsons loves sharks. So I bought that, also bought a 3D see-through model of a shark, and the adventure was we put the model together. Each other put this model together. Loved that. Another thing where I saw something at a thrift store that sparked an idea of the adventure, I saw a couple marine jackets, a green one and then a dress blues jacket, and they were very affordable. I went ahead and got them for a grandson, and I went online and looked up and simplified the battle plans for the Battle of Iwo Jima, and so he got to reenact that and thought that was pretty fun. Other big things that we've done because they're close to us in this area: Legoland Discovery Center, the Crayola Factory Crayola Experience. I guess that's kind of the things that I had on my list for now. Some of the things I'm looking forward to is I am dying to go whitewater rafting and tubing with a grandchild when they're old enough eventually. So you get the idea. There are things here that were very simple, very homemade, and there are other things that are kind of grander, and it all works. So go ahead and try some of these things. Less stuff, more memories, and let me know how it goes for you.